We're at 354?
Yeah,
You know
we're
what?
looking good.
I'll ask you the fucking question before we do it.
With that, let me ask you this. I love that drop.
It's so good. Thank you for doing that for so long to find a good. You had so many good drops. I probably picked between a dozen of them because they were all fire.
I will use my voice to make drops anytime.
Okay, so my question is, what is the difference between, or how would you define a RHINO, a Republican in name only?
Christ.
It's kind of a loaded question, is it not? Because it's supposed to be. I can go first if you want.
No. I think that probably the easiest way to describe a Republican in name only, because you have to. For me to do this, we gotta let me qualify this a little bit, right? A Republican, for the purpose of this conversation, we're talking about like the ideal, right? Like what you want a Republican to be.
Okay.
That's why I'm using this for context, right? And a Republican, what you want a Republican to be is like fiscally conservative, and they want small government, and they're really pretty chill. They are in for like kind of classical liberalism. They want people to be left alone. Like these are the things that you want out of a Republican, right? So to me, a Republican in name only would be easily described as like a neocon. Someone who is going to present those ideals to you in the background, actively work against them to grow the state as much as possible, grow the underlying administrations within them, and use those powers to benefit them as much as possible. That's what I would describe in that context.
Yes, and I was going to say, because context is the most important part of that question. Because I would say...
Because now that's what all Republicans are.
Exactly. Because I was going to say,
now.
The MAGA community is... The MAGA movement was started by Trump.
Yeah.
But it's grown. The MAGA movement is bigger than Trump.
Yeah.
He's the granddaddy. He's the father of the MAGA movement. That's cool. But in a modern context, so you're using the...
Probably more traditional context.
You're using the traditional context, right? Which is why I'm so glad you added context to it. Because I would say MAGA are RHINOs. Because in the context that a current Republican is a neocon. And you have to have a D or an R after your name if you want to participate in this two-party system.
Right.
And MAGA is not Republican. They are not neocons.
Donald Trump isn't a Republican.
They are Republicans in name only.
Right.
They have based values that are centered in the Constitution.
Like Thomas Massey.
Like Tom Massey. Tom Massey's a RHINO, in my mind. Rand Paul's a RHINO.
Ooh.
Because Republicans, as they have grown to be, they're a part of the uniparty. They are no different than Democrats. Republicans and Democrats use each other to push back to get whatever voters so that I can have power or you can have power. But it really doesn't matter because we're all going to do the same shit. We're going to spend the money. We're going to spend the money. We're going to grow the government. MAGA are RHINOs. And that RHINO should not be a badge of dishonor. It is a badge of honor.
It doesn't denigrate you anymore.
I am a Republican because I fucking have to call myself one. I don't believe in anything Mike Pence fucking believes at all. He is maybe... Not for me, but for a lot of MAGA folks that can identify with his belief in God and country and Christianity and stuff like that. Word. I'm down with that. That's cool. I'm not one of those guys, but also I believe in, I'll just say, I will accept small government. The smaller, the better. Prefer none, but the smaller, the better. I believe in mostly nationalistic policies that protect people here, that make people here money. And then if we want to do business out and about, that's our own prerogative. But we need to have manufacturing here. We need to do things here. We need to make America great again.
Right.
I say the thing. That does not... That's not a traditionally, as far as our lifetime goes, Republican view.
Right.
It's not. MAGA are RHINOs. But we fucked it up from the beginning. We fucked it up from the beginning because Trump has never been a Republican.
No.
He's a populist.
Right, Brian, a New York City businessman who's anti-gun, anti-freedom, who would arrest people saying things like, we'll have a free trial later.
Word.
Yes.
Word.
Yes.
MAGA is RHINO.
Wow.
Embrace that shit. That's what I say. It's a little too late. You can't go back at this point because it is what it is.
Right.
But when you really look at the totality
Can't
of
take
things,
Porch Monkey back. It's too late.
no, you can't.
It's too late.
It's too late. It is what it is.
I wonder how bad that hits us. Just for me to say that, I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine.
Educational.
We're long enough into it. Nobody will fucking
Yeah.
know about it. But yeah, that's what
That's fucking.
I'm fucking here for.
No, I think that's very good. And because we've talked, how many times have we said that? How many,
yeah.
specifically about Thomas Massey and the people serving in the
Oh, yeah.
Republican Party? And it's to shit. It's in a different context. It's when we're shitting on the Libertarian Party that these people won't even rep you because they
No.
can't to get in here. And it's really, it's almost the converse that they have to rep Republican.
Yes.
And they
because otherwise I can't get in.
right.
But I
Right.
will, to Steelman, the MAGA side of it, they identify as classical Republicans.
Yeah, they're
and they want to
conservative.
take the name back.
Right.
So they're calling everybody that doesn't identify with the MAGA movement RHINOs because they're
Right.
not really Republicans in a classical sense.
But it's also misguided because
Indeed.
neither is their leader.
No.
Neither is their.
They're
They're
not-
not the OG MAGA.
yeah,
you
they're
know?
not neocons, bro.
Right.
They're the opposite of that.
Right.
You were 100% correct in my
Wow.
mind by saying neocons are the current Republicans.
Right.
And so if you're a RHINO, you're a current neocon Republican.
Right.
Which is not what MAGA wants. MAGA wants to be the OG Republicans. But that's
Yeah.
it might be semantic
No,
in some ways,
I fuck
but
with it. No, and it's.
I've been thinking about this all goddamn
that's
week.
Very good. That's like I think that's a super solid argument. And if you were to have that discussion with, and I mean any number of the people that we watch on a daily basis, you probably would convince them because. That's it. It makes sense. That's
yeah.
solid. Like that's not.
Call yourself a Democrat or Republican if you're a populist who
Yes.
believes in small government
Yes.
and nationalism in
Yes.
the most rainbow and unicorns version of nationalists,
Yeah.
right? You're not a fucking Republican because they don't believe in any of that shit, and they
Yeah.
haven't for decades. But when you have like I said, to Steelman, the MAGA side of it, when you have an insurgent political movement, which MAGA is, essentially have to do a hostile takeover of the party, very similar to the Mises
Yes.
Caucus in the Libertarian Party.
Yes.
You have to. That's what they've done. Mitch McConnell, RHINO,
Right.
in the MAGA sense, because he's not a populist.
Right.
He's a uniparty guy, but in reality, all the MAGA people are RHINOs. They donned the Republican name to take over the fucking party. They are the real RHINOs,
Right.
and you should be fucking proud of that, because you don't want to be a fucking Republican who's done everything but sell your soul to the goddamn devil to this point over the since the fucking Reagan era, and probably way before that even.
Right.
It's just so that's what I wanted to bring up right before we got into the Republican debates.
No, I
because
think that's good.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.